For the following function, we're going to define the function f of x by if x is greater than or equal to 6, our function is going to be 10x plus 2. If x is greater than or equal to negative 3 but less than 6, our function is equal to 5x minus 6. And if x is less than a negative 3, then our function is equal to x squared minus 2. So this is a piecewise function. So depending what x is, it's going to depend what function we're going to look at. So for this problem here, they want us to evaluate the following three things. So for example A, we're going to find f of negative 4 plus f of 5. So first we're going to find f of negative 4, then we're going to find f of 5, and then we're going to add these two things together. So first let's find f of negative 4. Now, evaluating, you're essentially just plugging in the value into the equation or the expression and simplifying. So we want to evaluate the function for f of negative 4, which means we're going to plug in negative 4 for x and simplify. To know which function to plug into, because again, remember they gave us 3 of them, we need to pay attention to what value they gave us. For this one, they gave us negative 4. And then we need to pay attention to these intervals to know what that pertains to. So the first one says when x is greater than or equal to 6. Well, negative 4 is not greater than or equal to 6. The next one says between negative 3 and 6. Again, negative 4 does not fall in that. So we're going to be looking at the bottom one because this is where it says that x is less than negative 3. So for everything less than negative 3. So negative 3 is not included because it does not say less than or equal to negative 3, but everything less than negative 3, so when x is negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, so on to infinity, we're looking at the function x squared minus 2. So this is the function we're going to plug into because this is the one that has the range that negative 4 falls under. So we're going to take x squared minus 2, and what we're going to do is we're going to plug in negative 4 for x and then simplify. When we plug in negative 4 for x, that means we have, because we had x squared here, we need to take negative 4 times negative 4, which is a positive 16, dropping down the minus 2. That leaves us with 16 minus 2, which is 14. So that means f of negative 4 is equal to 14. Now we need to find f of 5. And again, we need to go back to our intervals and figure out where 5 fits in so we know the appropriate function to use. So 5 falls within this middle one here. 5 is between negative 3 and 6. Right, because 5 is bigger than negative 3 and it's smaller than 6. So that means for f of 5, we're going to be using 5x minus 6. And we're evaluating, so that means that we're going to take 5 and we're going to plug it in for every x in the function. So here we have 5x minus 6. We're plugging in 5 for x, which means we multiply before we subtract. 5 times 5 gives us 25. And when we subtract away that 6, we are left with 19. So f of 5 is equal to 19. Now we can go ahead and add the two together. F of negative 4, which is 14, plus f of 5, which is 19, gives us a grand total of 33 when we add both of those together, since 14 plus 19 is 33. Let's move on to example B. For example B, they want us to find f of 0. So we're going to do the same process. Find 0 within our intervals so that we know the right function to use, and then go ahead and plug in 0 into that function. So 0 is the middle function here. 0 falls between negative 3 and 6. Right, so 0 does fit within that interval. So that means for example B, we're going to be using 5x minus 6. And we're evaluating, which means we're going to plug in 0 for x and see what we get. Now when we plug in 0 for x, when we do this multiplication here, 5 times 0 goes away, leaving us with a minus 6. And since there's nothing else left to do there, that means f of 0 is equal to negative 6. Example C, we are evaluating f of 6. So we need to be careful here, because if we see here, we have two 6's here. This middle one says that x is greater than or equal to -3, but is less than 6. We want it when it equals 6. Because it says less than 6 and not less than or equal to, we cannot use the middle function. We have to use this top one, since this top one says x is greater than or equal to 6. So that means 6 is included in that interval. So that means, for example C, we're using the function 10x plus 2, and we're evaluating it for when f is equal to 6. So that means that we're plugging in 6 for x and simplifying. We multiply before we add, so 10 times 6 gives us 60, and when we add that 2 to it, it gives us a 62. So that means f of 6 is equal to 62. Otherwise, that's it for this video.